G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm just up the road here from my house and I'm going to go on a bushwalk, and thought I'd deliver another 5am Club. I'm on the warpath now, got about 15 or 16 to go in the next 2 or 3 days, and I just want to pump out as many as I can to get to that magical number. So the topic of today's book summary is entitled Brainwash. There's been quite a few with a similar sort of title that I've done recently, but this one here is a different one to the other one I did this morning called Brainwashed. So Brainwash by David Perlmutter, Austin Perlmutter and Kristin Loberg. So a triple authored book. So the authors here talk about how basically we are brainwashed. We are influenced heavily by our cultures, by the cultural norms we have around us. And they kick off the book making a bold statement, saying that the cultural norms are slowly but surely hijacking our brains and stealing away our happiness. So what we'll do is we'll go for a bit of a walk and talk and discuss this a little bit more. But it's an interesting topic where we start to delve into the cultural norms that surround a lot of the things that we do, and how a lot of that sort of stuff is influencing our happiness, in some ways adding happiness and in other ways taking it away. But the authors then go on to talk about it a little bit more, and what I'll do is I'll start walking and talking, where they say that your future happiness is on the line when you follow social norms, such as unhealthy eating habits and checking your iPhone too much. So being overly reliant on devices, I guess the point is that she's trying to make. So we'll delve a little bit more into this in terms of trying to understand it. But what the author here is suggesting is that historically, so going back in time to the Dark Ages, man's brain was rewarded by intaking energy-rich foods and were granted social acceptance to enable survival. So historically, we needed to indulge energy-rich foods is the key message that the author is saying. Let me just break down some of these cobwebs. Energy-rich foods, and we also thrived and thirsted for social connection, because historically, more so than now, we needed social connection in order to protect ourselves and to stay safe. So the reason why we needed energy-rich foods was that we didn't get too many opportunities to eat, because we were hunters before we were gatherers. So I guess back in the hunter days, or even in the gathering days, there must have been times of famine and feast and abundance. But what we needed to do was get as much food as we could and shovel it into our gobs. And the higher the energy the food was, the greater our chance of survival would have been. And also we needed to hunt and to socialise in groups or packs in order to once again stay safe, i.e. have some people looking after the others, other people out hunting and gathering, and basically living in a community. So the problem that the author raises here is that our brains still has these primitive survival mechanisms hardwired into it. And in our modern world, according to the author, where we're in the age now of technological advancement, means that we are rewarded handsomely for things that are not good for us anymore. So because now we're surrounded by lots of energy-rich foods which are high in fats and sugars, our brain still craves for it because it's hardwired into our survival mechanism that we're always fearful that we're not going to have enough to eat. So, we tend to enjoy fat-rich foods and sugar-laden foods to satisfy that part of the brain that is still stuck in our primitive mode of operation. And also now with social media, the point that we can also make is that because we can be connected to each other all the time, even though that connection is superficial, we still crave that connection, that social connection, and it registers high on our list of importance, I think, is the best way of describing it, so that we can stay connected and feel as if we're still part of the tribe. Because, as we said, our brains are wired that way. That's how we've been in the past, and we haven't outgrown it, at least from a basic perspective. So the author then goes on to talk about the fact that businesses take advantage of these weaknesses that we have. They feed off our primal instincts and make money, and we still are very impulsive. I know that myself. I am very impulsive. I can do things spontaneously on impulse, and I often surprise myself and I say, why did I do that? Why did I say that? But when we dig deeper into our psyche, then we will realise, or we do realise, that there are three parts of the brain, and there is that lizard part of the brain, or that primitive part of the brain, which thrives on all of this sort of thing. And as I say, it's just like our heart beats and we breathe without thinking about it. Similarly, we want to crave energy-rich foods and feel connected to other people because it's just part of our makeup. Always has been and always will be. So whilst it worked for our ancestors and kept them alive and enabled them to survive, what we're starting to see though is that in these new generations, it's actually working against us. It's causing us to be fat. It's causing us to be too dependent on social media. We've got fake connections with people. We've got very, very limited real and meaningful relationships. And the world has changed dramatically. So the next point that the author makes is the importance of being very selective in terms of how we eat and what we do and how we socialise. Just like sweet and salty and fatty foods are not good for our health, so too social media and an over-dependence on social media can also not be all that good for our mental and relationship health. It can help in one way, but it also weakens us in other ways, I guess, is the point that the author wants to make. So the author then discusses the opportunities to go on a bit of a fast, for social media, to help the brain get over those challenges. So the other thing that the author talks about a lot, and let me just pause here for a second, because about a year ago, probably a year ago when we had all the bushfires, a bushfire went through this area here and it was devastated. I remember coming through here one day just after the bushfires with my granddaughter on my shoulders, and she absolutely froze when she looked around and everything was black, sooty, and smelt of fire. And yet, as I say, a year from then, we're back to where we were, with the only show or the only indicator of the bushfire just being the trees that have been blackened. But the grass have grown back, the bushes are starting to generate and regenerate, and this whole area is on the up and up, I guess is the best way of describing it. So the author then moves on to the second formal point in the book, where they talk about exercise. And they say that if you want to be smarter, you need to exercise. And we need to, where we can, break free of the social norms. And one of the best ways of breaking free of social norms is exercising, where you've got time to be alone. You've got time to think on your own and to think critically. And it says here that your mind also clears up with exercise. Because without exercise, the mind gets foggy and we get moody. Brain power is enhanced through regular exercise. So there you go. How good is that just to think? So for young people who are at school, who are studying, doing their HSC or at university, here it is. The author is suggesting the importance of exercise, because regular exercise can enhance your brain power as it stimulates the prefrontal cortex. So exercise does a lot of things in terms of getting the blood flowing, getting nutrients coming and going, increasing your blood supply. But as it says here, it stimulates a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, and it helps you influence. It helps influence planning and problem solving. So exercise should be part of our study routine, is the message that I'm getting from this book, because physical activity improves our outlook. And I guarantee that is one thing for sure and for certain. Being out in the bush here, where I'm just walking through the bush, absolutely the outlook is enhanced and I'm feeling so much better. So the author then finishes off with the 10 steps to improve long-term happiness. And I'll just step through these fairly quickly. And a lot of them are what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of them are self-explanatory. We've got to do a digital detox, express gratitude and empathy. We need to reconnect with nature, which is exactly what I'm doing here and now. Reconnect with nature. You need to get better sleep, which means probably going earlier to bed, because the key to getting a good sleep is making sure that you get up at the same time every morning. This morning, even though I wasn't working, I did get up at 5 o'clock and headed into the city to do a couple of 5 a.m. clubs just to maintain the routine that I've normally got. The next thing for happiness, of course, is exercise. They talk about meditation for Greek Orthodox or Christians. You could substitute that with prayer and ritual. We need to increase our social connections, but rather than increasing the electronic ones, the author here talks about increasing our face-to-face connections with people, because nothing beats the face-to-face. But I must admit that Zoom and Facebook Live have helped my wife Paula, because she's on the phone every day. She's on the phone every day with the sisters in Greece, and they're always chatting away, and it's great to be able to see them and for them to see us. And the next one here is we need to be able to sit and evaluate our lives, evaluate what's happened over the past week on a regular basis. So that's about it. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can see, I'm down here by the creek. Had a nice little walk through the bush, had a nice little chat, walk and talk. And now it's time to finish up with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable. And let's take a few lessons from this book entitled Brainwash by David Perlmutter, Austin Perlmutter and Kristin Loberg, where we get to understand how our primitive brain and how the social norms that were valuable in times gone by may be in fact making us unhealthy and leading us to unhappiness these days. And the author gave us a number of things that we can do to reconnect with happiness, and those 10 were pretty well spot on. I liked all of them. The fact that we can do a digital detox from time to time, express gratitude and empathy, connect with nature, go for a walk and be one with nature like I am today. Get better sleep, we all understand that. Get more exercise, eat better, meditate, relax, and increase our physical social connections. All of that is good stuff. Anyway, thank you very much once again for joining me, because at the end of the day, we're partners in each other's growth and development, and we need to keep each other positive, keep each other motivated, so that we continue to be the wind beneath our wings, so that we can learn things and pass them on, so we can live, learn, and pass them on, and make the most of each and every day. So once again, thank you. And it's been an honour. It's been an honour and a great pleasure to be on this journey with each and every one of my friends and family, whoever has been my buddy on Jim's 5am Club. I thank you for your support. And as I say, I've got about 15 or 16 vlogs to go before I reach my goal of 1,000 in English. And I hope to do that before Thursday. So I've got today and 2 more days to go. Yassas, thank you, ketaleme. Filakia from Jim's 5am Club, and bye for now. Cheers.